están?
Aquí lo
Aquí.
más bien, brother.
Hey, bro. Mira, first things first, Danny, my mom loves you.
What's up?
When I told her I was talking, she's like, El Chico de Law and Order. And I'm like, that's exactly who it is. So I
That's
just,
what's up.
Rosa
Tell,
Felix says hi, okay?
tell your moms I say thank you. Tell her
Guys,
hola.
as a first generation Cuban, this show was perfection for me. I loved it. I loved everything about it. Um, what nobody really knows is that Maurice Comte is one of your good friends, Danny, and he showed you the script. I have to know, bro, like, what was it like playing his dad? Like, was that
Mm.
shoes you had to fill?
Dude, you have your finger on the pulse of that one. You know,
Yeah.
Maurice came to me while we were shooting Mayans, and he says to me, "Look, there's something that I'm starting to gain some momentum. I don't want to tell you too much information, but there's a story of my father." And then you cut to multiple years later, and I get a phone call from Yul. And Yul and I have, at that point, we've been friends now for a couple of decades, to the point where, when you meet a fellow Cuban, you're like, not only do I feel like I know you, I feel like you're family. I feel like you were there at my communion, you were
Yep.
there at my confirmation, right? You were there at my cousin's 15s, right? Like all of that stuff, you feel like
Is that your honeymoon?
you're at my, oh, that was weird. When you
No.
showed up at my honeymoon, that was strange. But let's not talk about that. But when Yul calls me and he says, Danny, listen, I'm working on Godfather of Harlem and I'm working with Chris Brancato, who worked on Narcos. Uh, and that's where he knew Maurice Comte from, because Maurice had worked with him on Narcos. And there's a show that Chris is writing. It's called Hotel Cocaine. It's set in Miami, 1978, and it's all about the Mutiny Club, and we get to play brothers. That's all I needed to know. At that point, reading the script was sort of like, something that I was going to eventually have to do, but I was hooked at that point.
Yo, un placer. Uh, Real quick, the chemistry between you guys as brothers is incredible. There's so much Cuban slang that the normal Latino would not understand. Was that all you guys improvising? I'm talking about when you guys were saying coño, when you were saying tremendo. I was hoping to hear like wow, wow. I was having so much fun with you guys just talking to each other, man, because that's how we talk to like our friends. What was that
Yeah.
like?
Well, that's exactly right. That what you just said. That's what we wanted to do. I
Yeah.
mean, if other folks don't understand it, that's I mean, there's nothing we can really do about that. We're playing these guys. You have two actual Cubans that grew up in Miami playing two Cubans that live in Miami. So it's authentic as authentic gets, and we didn't want two things that we didn't want to do. And we discussed it with Chris. We didn't want to talk like this. Hey man, how you doing? We wanted to speak English like we did, and Spanish, which we also did. It's our first language. So, and then English becomes our second language because I learned English in school. I came from Cuba. My mother spoke to me in Spanish. So that's what we wanted to do. Exactly what you just said is what we wanted to do. So I'm happy that you caught that, because that that's an authentic note. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That rings true.
And also, we were raised watching like Goodfellas
Yeah.
or The Godfather, where these Italian characters, they go off and they speak Italian to each other
Right.
off the cuff and very casually.
Right.
We don't see that. We don't
Right.
see
Yeah.
Cuban Americans doing that on
Nope.
television or in film. So we wanted to be able to give our culture our moment so that
Yeah.
we can see ourselves in that light too.
Before I wrap, the scene in episode 3 with the ropa vieja, perfection. You don't get that. You don't get that. I showed it to my mom. I was like, that's how it is. Because you know how hard it is to get a good ropa vieja in LA?
Yeah.
Forget it, bro.
Imposible.
No, no,
Ya tú
no.
sabes.
But thank you so much, bro. I can't wait for everyone to watch Hotel Cocaine, bro. Like, it is perfection. Gracias.
Thank you
Gracias a
very
ti,
much, man.
Junior.
Appreciate it.
Man.
Muy
See you.
amable, brother. Cuídate mucho.